Hello students, welcome to the program. The topic chosen for today's program is maladjustment and its causes. The objectives set for today's program are to know about the concept of maladjustment, to know about the characteristics of maladjusted person, to know about the causes of maladjustment, and lastly, to know about some of the remedial measures to overcome maladjustment. Louis Kaplan, in his book Education and Mental Health, uses the term mental health to signify the quality of interacting process through which individual relates to himself and to the world around him. Mental illness, emotional instability, mental disorders, emotional disorders, etc. All these terms denote one and the same thing and result from one and the same thing, that is, the improper or inadequate interaction of individual within his environment. They are interchangeably used to describe what we call maladjustment. Mental health is not simply a state of happiness or accommodation to circumstances, although it may involve these characteristics. To some, mental health implies living securely, enjoying life, being productive, and having a steady ego that is capable of withstanding stress. Maladjustment indicates bad mental health. So far as adjustment is concerned, two distinct types of persons have been identified: adjusted person or normal and maladjusted persons. Most people have to face frustrations, conflicts, and such situations as may cause concern, anxiety, and nervousness at times. They are able to overcome their troubles and adjust themselves to such situations and are called adjusted person. But there are people who cannot overcome their troubles and cannot compromise with them. They develop behavior disorders in the form of exaggerated, persistent reactions, which tend to incapacitate them and distort their feelings and behavior. They are maladjusted persons. They create another world in which they can live more comfortably and with real life situations. They are in gross disharmony. It must be remembered that no person is completely adjusted. He is adjusted to a degree. A well-adjusted person maintains a favorable orientation towards reality. His life is like a ship riding the waves. He may be swayed this way or that by wind or weather, but he always returns to an even keel. This even keel is his fundamental balance in life that enables him to withstand the thousands of disturbing stimuli which assail him and still keep his bearing and continue to move towards the goals he has set for himself. Maladjustment is the common term used to describe an inability to maintain a stable relationship or adjust to changing environment. Some individuals are incapable of maintaining a steady relationship and suffer from maladjustment. So we can say that maladjustment means failure to adapt to a change in one's environment, resulting in inability to cope with work or social activities. Maladjustment may be described as inability to react successfully and satisfactorily to the demands of one's environment. It encompasses a wide range of physical, psychological, and social conditions, but most often implies an individual's failure to meet social or cultural expectations. Maladjustment can occur as a reaction to stressful situations such as divorce or moving house. There may be feeling of depression or anxiety or behavioral problems in children and in adolescents. Maladjustment usually disappears when a person is removed from the stressful situation or adapts to it. The term maladjustment is most simply defined as number 1, inadequate adjustment, and number 2, inability to adjust to the demands of interpersonal relationships and stresses of daily living. Adjustment is a positive capacity to adapt to one's circumstances and needs. This presupposes 3 things: a sensitive appreciation of reality, some accommodation to environmental pressures, and continuing efforts at modifying the environment to suit one's needs. According to Psychological Dictionary, adjustment is the variation and changes in behavior that are necessary to satisfy needs and meet demands so that one can establish a harmonious relationship with the environment. If one fails to make these variations and changes, the needs will not be satisfied, the demands will not be met. Thus, he or she will not be able to establish a harmonious relationship with the environment. Thus, maladjustment is disharmony with one's environment. Thus, we can say that maladjustments arise because the individual fails to acknowledge, admit, and cope with reality, fails to accommodate to the environmental pressures, and lacks either the will or the skill to modify the environment to suit his needs. In psychiatry, failure to fit one's inner needs to the environment or inability to meet the challenges of daily life is termed as maladjustment, while as in psychology, the term generally refers to unsatisfactory behavioral patterns that cause anxiety and require psychotherapy. As per MedLexicon Medical Dictionary, in the mental health care profession, maladjustment is an inability to cope with the problem and challenges of everyday living. Now, students, the characteristics of maladjusted children. Maladjusted children are ineffective in their immediate environment of home, school, or other social settings. Depending on the temperament and personal experiences of the children, their emotional and behavioral difficulties may be manifested in extremely diversified manners. The common characteristics of these children by which we can identify them in their different aspects of life are: number 1, in their family. The manifestations that may reflect their relationship with other members of the family are being rebellious against parents, staying out late or even absconding from home, sibling rivalry, being indifferent to concerns from the needs of their families. Number 2, at school. The behavior that reflects their relationship with teachers and fellow pupils include disregarding school disciplines, resulting in frequent violation of school regulations despite counseling being provided. For example, fighting or disrupting class to the extent that teaching can't be conducted, influencing other classmates to follow him in breaking school regulations, openly challenging school authorities and insulting teachers. Number 3, in the teaching-learning situation. More often than not, maladjusted children are academically less able to the owing disadvantages like weak concentration and short attention span, resulting in fickleness with job at hand, thus hampering their learning in both knowledge and skills. Long-term experience of school failure does not only impede their interest and motivation in academic work, but also diminish their confidence in other aspects, particularly in new areas of learning. The vicious cycle between repeated experience of failure and children's low self-concept and confidence hinders them in further academic achievement. Number 4, in social aspects. Presenting unacceptable behaviors such as being weak in self-control. Some of them exhibit impulsive behavior such as temper tantrums, use of foul language, vandalism. In the other extremes, some may be withdrawn, indifferent, and isolating themselves without any contact with others. Involved with undesirable peers, resulting in truancy or delinquent behavior. Low awareness of social norms and conventions, resulting in wayward behaviors. Now students, causes of maladjustment. Maladjustment is a complex problem of human behavior. It is very difficult to find out the appropriate cause. Maladjustment is induced by a number of interactive factors. In a nutshell, it originates from unsatisfied basic needs. They include the physiological needs of food, warmth, shelter, and the psychological needs such as love, peace, status, recognition, sense of achievement, and security. The unsatisfied basic needs would drive children to seek for them through inappropriate means. Freud, Adler, Jung, etc. described different factors for maladjustment. These can be categorized as personal factors, social factors, and school factors. Number 1. Personal factors, including physique. If a child is very weak, ugly, or handicapped, physically, mentally, or visually, he reacts abnormally to the situation. When he is not able to do well academically or in any other field as compared to his peers, he develops an inferiority complex. These children isolate themselves from others and indulge in daydreaming. Now, personal inadequacy. A nervous sense of inadequacy is a cause for maladjustment. Suppose a student is not so brilliant, but his parents are very ambitious and set high goals for them. This may lead him to frustration, and as a result, he may develop problems of maladjustment. Third, family. A huge portion of local cases of maladjustment come from ineffective families. Their parents may be deceased, divorced, and or working long hours. This leads to long-term negligence of children's needs. As a consequence, they are insufficiently prepared for and thus could hardly adjust to their school and social life. Then social causes. Gibbons says that the social problem of one generation is the psychological problem of the next generation. Children coming from homes that have been broken by death, divorce, desertion, separation, etc. are often maladjusted in their behavior. Such children feel insecure and become maladjusted. With the tremendous growth in population, it is extremely difficult for parents to provide even the basic necessities like food, clothing, and shelter to their children, which results in greater degree of frustration and hostility. Then, economic causes. The occupational status of parents, problems of unemployment, low economic status, or poverty result in maladjustment amongst children. The main cause behind it is that In a poor home, the parents can't fulfill the legitimate needs of their children. Children from poor families keep on comparing themselves with others so far as their family facilities are concerned. The feeling of unsatisfaction leads to maladjustment in them. Then, parental attitude. If parents are over-possessive, highly authoritative, unrealistic in their expectations, incompatible, and abusive, this will have an adverse effect upon their children. When the psychological needs are not met, children get frustrated and develop problems like nail biting, fear of dark, lack of self-confidence, etc. Then, parental rejection. If a child is rejected by their parents from an early childhood, the child may develop the feeling of insecurity, helplessness, and loneliness. Rejection and lack of affection may lead to maladjustment behavior. This problem is common with female child than male. Then, emotional shock. Children who experience emotional shocks such as death, accident, riots, floods, etc. may manifest signs of maladjustment in their behavior. Then, prolonged sickness and injury. Prolonged sickness may cause maladjustment among children. Then second is the social factors. When children are not satisfied at home or in school and lack effective guidance from adults, they may easily drift into the undesirable subcultures. This may lead to antisocial behavior, avoidance, or withdrawal and apathy in life. Number 1, religious beliefs. In this era of modernization, adolescents often get confused about the traditional religious beliefs for which they don't find any rational basis, and as a result suffer from a lack of positive attitude and get frustrated. Then, mobility of parents. Children whose parents move from one place to another very frequently face different types of problems. This may lead to maladjustment on the part of children who suffer from a feeling of insecurity. Then, employment insecurity. Uncertain about proper employment opportunities after getting higher degrees is another important factor of causing maladjustment among the students. Third is the school-related factors. School conditions also play a vital role in the lack of adjustment of children. When growing children do not find ways and means to channelize their energy in a purposeful manner in the school, they exhibit in maladjusted behavior. Some of the factors in this connection are inadequate curriculum. Our present curriculum is not meeting the psychological, social as well as the physical needs of our children at different stages, as a result of which the children find themselves maladjusted in their real life situation. Then, lack of proper recreational facilities. Children who are not getting scope for extracurricular activities like play, library, debates, discussions, etc. may suffer from maladjustment problem. Then, teacher-related causes. If there is no good relationship between student and teacher, the students may suffer from emotional problems. If the teacher is unfair, biased, or not involved with the students, it certainly affects the mental health of the children in the school, leading to maladjustment. Then, inadequate training of teachers The teachers are not properly trained in educational psychology and mental hygiene. They face tremendous problems in handling the children. They can't properly deal with the problems of their students. This results in maladjustment among the students. Then is the organizational climate of school. If there is cooperation and mutual understanding among the administrators, teachers and other staff in an educational institution, or in other words, a good organizational climate, one finds a very conducive environment which helps develop good mental health. Then, peer group related causes. Another important factor that disturbs the psychoequilibrium of student is an unhealthy relationship with their peer group. Then last is some remedial measures to overcome maladjustment. Number 1. The ultimate aim of education for the maladjusted is to help them adjust and integrate into their immediate environments, which includes family life, mainstream education, vocational trainings, or open employment. Number 2. The strategies and intervention related to the education of maladjusted children should be geared to their specific needs and aim at helping them to develop positive values and behaviors. Third, by and large in the school and residential settings, a balanced curriculum and a caring environment can help children to improve their interpersonal relationship, enhance their self-image and motivate learning. Number 4. Education is a long-term and complicated task. Besides special training and skills in teaching, teachers of maladjusted children need to offer double of love in order to achieve the goal of the whole person education. Number 5. It is the need of hour that parents be sensitized against the ill effects of maladjustment. Lastly, it may be more important if the pupil can develop an awareness of their own strengths and limitations, as well as a realistic understanding of their circumstances and coping skills. Then they can adapt to their family, school and social life more effectively. Dear students, we conclude adjustment problems among children are usually transient in nature and may be improved through education and counseling before developing into permanent features. If evidence suggests that children's emotional and behavioral difficulties are so severe and complex that their special educational needs can't be properly met by mainstream schools and external provisions can't be reasonably provided within the general sector of education, then special educational services should be provided.